Hello, I'm a Thermomix advisor and I'd like to show you this amazing appliance, the best one you could have in your kitchen. So this is a Thermomix and it's manufactured by a German company called Vorwerk. The company's been around since 1883 and they've had Thermomix on the market for almost 50 years. So I will show you, here is how you switch it on. You just press that grey selector and this is the different part. I'll show you the different parts. So everything is done in this really high quality stainless steel bowl. Everything goes in the dishwasher, actually all the different parts. And you can even remove the blade for easy cleaning. So it's 4 blades, 4 different levels from different angles. You have the blade goes inside the bowl and is attached to the bowl with this base, so it doesn't fall off. So when you buy a Thermomix, it comes with everything. There's no extra you have to buy. We have a simmering basket, which is here, steaming baby potatoes or rice. You have a spatula, which has a hook, so you can remove the simmering basket or steaming basket, and then you empty it. You have a big steaming basket called a Varoma, and the Varoma will sit here on the lid. And you can even steam on different levels. In the Varoma you have the actual Varoma bowl, but also a tray where you can have fish or meat or fillets. And then you have a measuring cup, it's called a measuring cup, it just fits here on the lid, so to close the lid. And it has measurements inside, 50 ml up to here, 100 ml up to here. And what's great with this measuring cup is when you turn it over, it doesn't fall off, which is really clever. And then you have a butterfly whisk, which is max 4. So once the butterfly whisk is inside the bowl, make sure, so it goes here between the blades, make sure speed is not higher than 4, otherwise they'll start jumping and eventually being chopped. On the bowl you have marks here. This is half a litre, 1 litre, 1.5, 2 litres, max 2.2. Same marks are inside. So when you buy, the Thermomix comes with everything, comes with this really good recipe guide, lots of recipes which you can find in your Thermomix. And you can buy it, the different ways is either bank, transfer or credit card, MasterCard or Visa card, and you can receive it to your house 2 days later, 2 working days later. But also we have a finance plan, so you can buy the Thermomix and pay it over 12, 24 or 36 months. We are going to show you this demonstration doing 3 recipes. The first one will be cheese scones, and we're going to do this recipe manually without using the guided cooking. And then we're going to do a pea and mince soup and a frozen fruit sorbet. So just to show you quickly, we have 3 dials. Here is the timer and you select it here. This is the temperature, you select it here. And the speed, which will lock the lid and start the engine. So the cheese scones we're doing manually. The other recipes, we're going to look for them straight on our recipe platform called Cookie Do. So if you swipe here to the right, you get access to Cookie Do. If you swipe there to the left, you get access to the different modes.
1 teaspoon of baking powder.
1 teaspoon of baking powder. Yep.
And 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt. Teaspoon.
1/2 teaspoon of sea salt. Yep.
Turbo 1 second 4 times.
So turbo is one of those functions here. So if I close the lid, I just press it down, I go on turbo, and it's for 1 second.
4 times.
So I start once, 1 second, I go on turbo and then turn. And it's chopping. 2, 3. We can hear it's absolutely fine. So I'll just go back to the home button and it will release the lid, and I can show you it's completely chopped. Then
You add the cheese,
I'm going to add some cheese. So that's cheddar cheese.
120 grams.
So I go to the scale again. It's nice to have some mature cheddar, has more flavour. Even a bit more is absolutely fine. And then
You chop
turbo again.
turbo with 3 times 1 second.
So turbo, it's 1 second as well. 1, 2, and 3. And we go back to the home button to release the lid. And as you can see, it's all chopped. Okay,
Milk.
so we add some milk, and all the Thermomix recipes are in grams, so that's much easier for us to weigh liquids.
125.
So 100, whoopsie, 20, 29. And then
The chives.
what's quite nice is to add some chives, but also here we have a bit of chives, but also you could add some Coleman mustard if you like, or a bit of cayenne pepper. We might just add a little bit of Coleman mustard. Yeah. Just for a bit more flavour.
Mix 5 seconds, speed 4.
So here we remove the scale, we go back to the home screen, and we do 5 seconds, speed 4. To stop the music, you just press here, and it's done. Okay? We're now going to use the kneading function.
30 seconds.
So kneading function again is on this page. We go to dough, and it's only 30 seconds on the dough function, so kneading. So what it does, cycles of 30 seconds, well, we'll go clockwise 5 times, once anti-clockwise.
At this point, Annita, or
No, it's better. Once you're using the kneading function, just make sure you're not too far away from your Thermomix, because sometimes it can move a bit. Okay, so here it's done. We've got fantastic dough. I will now turn it out of the bowl. This is the base of the blade. If you twist this, it will help just release the whole dough. It's done, which is nice. And now I'm going to follow the recipe. I mean, there is a recipe on the cookie dough recipe platform. We've slightly changed it because it's twice the amount of flour. So we've just done half of that recipe, but double the amount of cheese. So if ever you follow the cookie dough recipe, just be careful. It makes a really big, it really makes big scones. We prefer slightly smaller, but it's actually really nice texture. So just flatten it into a round circle, and then with the spatula, you can use it as a knife. If you don't have a baking mat, just use some baking paper, and we'll now make 8 scones, and we'll have to separate them because it's got self-raising flour and baking powder. So if you don't separate them, they won't rise properly. So actually it works really well this way.
if you want to add a touch of shine in your cheese scones, you can always brush it with some egg yolk.
That's nice. Okay, so we want shiny cheese scones. I think it's more if you have like an egg yolk standing in your fridge somewhere, in a box in the fridge. And you just cover it. And then what we did is preheat the oven on 220 degrees. And we are now going to put it for 15 minutes in the oven. So you can also do the same scones, but sweet ones. So with no cheese, but a bit of sugar if you want, or just flavor it if you want raisins, if you want cinnamon. You just add whatever you like. That's the advantage of doing recipes from scratch, is just adapt them to your taste. You can also do this recipe gluten-free and lactose-free. So gluten-free would just be gluten-free flour, and lactose-free with any other type of milk and butter and cheese. So we're finished with this one. We are now going to do some guided cooking for the soup. So as I showed you earlier on, I go back to the home screen here, and I will go on search. I can either go left here and search pea and mince soup, or use the little magnifying glass we used to have earlier on. So I've got the pea and mince soup here. I'm going to select it and go on that recipe. I can check here if I've got all the ingredients, and then I can start cooking. So this way I will have instructions step by step what to add in and how to do it. So it's really easy without having to have a recipe next to me. So I will add some onions. So I will add 80 grams of onions. This is about a medium onion. Once you do quite a lot of recipes with Thermomix, you know 80 grams about a medium onion. Oopsie, so I'm just getting the wrong one. There's a bit more, but that's absolutely fine. And then next, unsalted butter, diced. And then next, I'm going to chop, insert measuring cup into mixing bowl lid, and then next, turn the speed selector to speed 5. So it's already programmed 5 seconds, and I'm going to turn the speed selector until it gets to 5. And there's a little light shadow to show where 5 is. And it says next.
So Anita, why does it say insert measuring cup into mixing bowl lid? Is there a reason for that?
If you didn't have the measuring cup, you would have some onions coming out from the lid. So you definitely have to close the lid and the measuring cup.
And so the way it's written, it's assuming that you're putting all those ingredients in through the hole in the lid.
Yes, exactly. So here, scrape down the sides of the mixing bowl, insert measuring cup into mixing bowl lid, and then turn speed selector to speed 1. So what it has here, it's programmed already 3 minutes, 100 degrees, speed 1. Just to say something about temperatures. The highest temperature when you use your Thermomix is 120 degrees on this dial here. The next step is called Varoma. Varoma is the name of the steaming basket which sits on top. If you need to steam, you would go like this. But in that case, the Varoma temperature is about 95 to 105. It's the ideal temperature for steaming. Here we want a higher temperature because we're sautéing the onions, so 120 degrees. You have some specific recipes to the TM6 which use something called sugar stages or high temperature. High temperature, for example, to brown some onions or to make some stir fry, it would reach up to 160 degrees. Here, what's good is we can see what temperature we have inside the bowl, what temperature we have here. These lights turn red because we're above 60 degrees, and the temperature is rising very quickly. We're now 95. I'm saying it's very useful. Let's say you made the soup in the morning, you want to reheat it in the evening. The Thermomix is great for reheating your soup. So you would program, for example, maybe 10 minutes, 90 degrees and speed 2 or 3. Just make sure that everything's turning. But then you have a really precise temperature. While this is cooking, I'm going to show you also how you can save your recipe. If I go on the home little icon, my recipe is saved here. And I can go here and show you the different functions. Pre-clean, let's say your bowl is dirty, you make some caramel and the blades are stuck, it's really dirty. And you can use the pre-clean function, which is 1 liter of water and a bit of fairy liquid, and just start the pre-clean. And it will just warm the water, turn, and just turn a bit quicker. And if the blades are stuck, it will wait till the blades are unstuck so that it can turn. Kettle, your kettle is quicker than the kettle mode. I would use kettle if I did some special teas. For example, some teas you need to have water at 60 degrees. It's ideal for the kettle mode. Otherwise, just use kettle is great. Blending your soup. We're going to use it for blending. Slow cook. I mean, it's like cooking. You can check what the temperature is. Actually, it says stop Thermomix to switch the mode. So you would cook for a really long time. I think it's up to 12 hours at a low temperature. Or do sous vide fermentation, making your yogurts. There's some great recipes where you ferment your yogurts for about 11 or 12 hours at 70 degrees. That's the fermentation. And you have rice cooker, and the last function right now here is thicken to make sauces. So this is done. We are now going to add our frozen peas. So as I remove the lid, you see the scale's gone negative, so I'll do to tear it. And I'm going to add 500 grams of frozen peas, which is actually a bit more, we've got a bit more in here, but we might as well finish the bag. We don't want a little leftover in the freezer. So it's 540. Next, now we're going to add some water. So again, it's in grams, which is easier, thank you. So 500 grams of water. And you can add a bit more as we have a bit more peas. And then next, some vegetable stock. So once you have a Thermomix, never buy vegetable stock cubes. Make your own vegetable stock paste, and that you know exactly what's in it. Here we have vegetables, we have herbs, we have salt, we have a bit of olive oil. It's really nice. So use a teaspoon of heaped vegetable stock paste, which keeps for up to 6 months in the fridge, instead of a stock cube. At least you know there's no glucose syrup, there's no maize starch, there's no whatever, all the rest. Fine sea salt, you could measure it, but you could also just a little bit in your hand. And then a pinch of black pepper. I'll just add it in a minute. And insert measuring cup. And I'm going to start by pressing next. Turn the speed selector to speed 1. So here it's going to cook for 10 minutes, 100 degrees, speed 1. So the temperature has dropped because we have added some cold water and frozen peas. Here I can always add, I think the pepper is out just here. No? Thank you. So I can add some black pepper. So while it's cooking, I can show you a few recipes in here. So this book it's actually a modern recipe book because we have lots of recipe suggestions, even some master classes if you want some information on making risotto or the different types of meat or whatever. It's really well explained. At the beginning, you have one page which shows you the different parts of your Thermomix. So in case you can't remember what is the varoma or what are the different, what's the butterfly whisk, here it's really well shown. And then you have towards the end, and that's really useful, is some pages explaining how to chop or grate or and depending on what vegetables you're using or fruits or whatever. So that's chopping, but also you have crushing, mincing, grinding, milling, and steaming, and that's really useful. Let's say you want to steam. I just wanted to show you quickly here. If you're steaming, you do like this. So you would have half a liter of water or broth, the stated time, varoma temperature. Okay, so once again, I'll show you. Varoma temperature is here, and speed 1. I just need to remove this.
When you mentioned high temperature before, you cannot select high temperature.
You
can
cannot
only
do manually.
do it with guided cooking, correct?
Correct. So the highest temperature here is 120 degrees. But if you do caramel, if you do caramelized chutney, if you do some stir fry, it's a high temperature. It goes up to 160 degrees, but you cannot select it here.
So you mentioned there about mincing, and you also mentioned about grinding.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah. So let's say you want to mince meat. It's really good because you can have a bit of a texture in your meat. The best thing is to cut pieces of meat about this size, like 3 centimeters cube, and partially freeze them and chop them in here, like in batches of 200 grams. And I think it's speed 6. And if you grind, if you want to make your own flour, let's say you don't use your you don't use like buckwheat too often, it's much better to buy the buckwheat grains and grind them in here, and that would be on speed 10 because you want a very fine flour. Also, something great about chopping is salads, and I always tell everyone something I didn't discover the first few years when I had Thermomix is to make chopped salads. And in here you have 2 really good recipes. One of them is broccoli salad with red peppers and pine nuts, and it's just raw broccoli. You just separate in your florets in here. Red pepper cut in little cubes. 1 apple, pine nuts, olive oil, mustard, salt, pepper, and vinegar, and you just chop like 5 seconds speed 5. Or this one's speed 4.5, and this one's a bit more chopped. This is beetroot. You can do this recipe is with cooked beetroot. There's another one with raw beetroot I even prefer. So it's got carrot, apple, beetroots, and all the seasoning as well. So these are great, and they're done in seconds. So this is good.
So, Annita, I like curries.
Yes.
How can the Thermomix help me make curries?
Great for making just the spices. If you have like cumin, if you make your own curry spice mix in here, you can make your garam masala. So you can heat the spices and then finely mill even your spices all in here. And then you'd add all the ingredients. There's quite a few curry recipes in the Thermomix, but that's something I used to buy before having a Thermomix. Never will I buy a ready-made meal with, a curry-made meal. Make it in your Thermomix. It's really easy. If you make curry in here, this is when the anti-clockwise. So I'll show you where this is. Actually, that's quite a good point. The blade here. If you press here on that little sign of the blade, it says reverse enable. So you'd make, if you're cooking some curry with the meat is inside or some vegetables you want to keep them chunky, you just make sure you are on the reverse blade.
Also, please mention the splash guard because sometimes I forget about it, and it's very important, I reckon.
Splash guard is something new to the TM6. The way you would use it is, let's say you're making jam. You don't want too much condensation in the Thermomix. It will tell you in the recipe, but if you do your own recipe, just remove the measuring cup and put the splash guard here. But it would be attached, once your bowl locks, it will be locked in. The thing is, it will never splash but it will evaporate here on the sides, as you can see. The center is covered.
What about smoothies? Would I be able to do
Yes.
smoothies in the morning?
Smoothies, definitely. So all your fruits or vegetables, whatever, in here. The great advantage of doing it in a Thermomix, you would keep all the fibers. It's not like a juice extractor. So you put all your fruits in here. 1 minute, speed 10, works really well. Or use the blend function as well. You can blend it. Usually 1 minute. If you think it's not fine enough, you can add another minute. But after 2 minutes, speed 10 or blending function, it works really well. Also making juices. I thought you couldn't make juice, but you can make juices. There's some great immune booster or wellness boosters or whatever in here, where you would make it with ginger, with turmeric, with lemons. You just put the whole lemon, just peel it well, removing the white pith, and add some water, and you'll have a really good juice. Sometimes it says filter it, and usually I just blend it a bit longer and you don't need to filter it. I think the cheese scones are ready, so we'll show you what they look like. Ooh, they look very nice. Thank you, Carolina. Here are the cheese scones, which were prepared in 10 minutes maximum. So they've risen really well, and they look nice and shiny, thanks to the egg yolk.
Can you do butter in your Thermomix?
So making butter is great. First time I discovered butter was when I was over whisking some double cream. So to make, you just follow the recipe here, but it's just with the butterfly whisk in the bowl, and I'll show you how it fits between the blades. You'd have double cream and whisk it, and I think it takes about 2 minutes or something. You just follow the recipe, and then you rinse the actual leftover, and you'll have some buttermilk as well. So not only you make butter, but you also have buttermilk to make your scones the next time.
I was going to say desserts. Tell us
Desserts,
your best.
my favorite cakes. I love. There's some really good ones. There's a brownie with raspberries, white chocolate, pistachios. There's a torta caprese, one of my favorite. It's gluten-free. So it's got chocolate and almonds. You grind your almonds in here. You don't need to buy ground almonds. There's also crumbles are great to make in here. There's a great rhubarb, orange and almond cake. Yeah, just making the
So effectively, you could adapt your recipes if you're gluten-free or grain-free. You can easily adapt whatever the cookie dough brings up.
And what's quite good also, you can reduce the sugar. So sometimes you make cakes and you think, oh, this recipe has too much sugar, or you can see it while you first see it first. You can just reduce the sugar by about 25% or even a third. And you just put the ingredients you really like. So if you're gluten-free, just replace by gluten-free flour or make your own gluten-free flour.
What about nut milks or nut butters?
Great ideas. So making nut butters, you would first roast your nuts in the oven for 10 minutes at 180 degrees, and then let it cool down, and then in your Thermomix, 2.5 minutes, speed 10. What I usually do is I start them, close the door, disappear, because it's quite noisy, but the result, with a pinch of salt, and it's really good. Nut butters also, you just chop the nuts. You can soak the nuts first, add water, chop them in here, and filter this. Use a little nut bag just to filter the nut butter. So now it's done and cooked. We are going to add some fresh mint. 10 grams, perfect.
So this new scale weighs in increments of 1 gram.
1 gram, it's
Wow.
really accurate. Great when you're making pastry, baking, it's really precise. For the soup, it doesn't really matter. So then next, this is the blending mode. So it's 2 minutes blend. So I'll just turn, what it does, it just will start very slowly and go progressively up to speed 10. And it's blending.
It's less noisy than this one compared to the previous one.
minutes, but it's worth it. Really, those 2 minutes. Look at the colour of the soup. I think it's just amazing. You'd never have a soup like this from a supermarket at this type of colour. So we are going to transfer it in this bowl. It's for one very hungry person. Here. Okay, so last recipe. So this is finished. Last recipe is making the sorbet. So I can also, what I just wanted to show you here before making the sorbet is in my recipes, I can create collections. So here are recipes that have been created for different people, or you can, I tend to put in my collections one with bread recipes, one with soup recipes, Indian recipes, so you know exactly where to find them. So that's a really good way, and also saved collections. When you buy a Thermomix, you will have only the recipes from simple ideas. This whole book will be in here. But then you can download, like there's a book called A Taste of India with just Indian recipes. Another one with a very Thermomix Christmas, the Christmas recipe book. So it's either small collections or bigger ones, like there's a collection called sous vide, slow cook and sous vide, under 500 calories, that's quite a nice one. So that's called Save Collections. This, I show you how I came up to that page. I go on those 3, this is the home page. I go on those 3 lines here. I will have my recipes. So here they are. And bookmarks, I can put my favorite recipes there. Then in my week, I can select the recipes I want to cook today or tomorrow or the day after. So here, we're going to use the frozen fruit sorbet recipe. Sometimes, yeah, here. So here's the bowl.
Can you use recipes from other countries and other languages?
Absolutely. You can also find them on here. Could almost make the sorbet in French if you wanted. If you go on, I'll show you, just remind me at the end how to show you how to remove the UK filter. So you access recipes from all over the world. Right now there's more than 55,000 recipes on Cookie-Doo. So we are going to we're going to make a mango sorbet, and what's good here is we are going to add only 50 grams of sugar, because it says 60 to 100. This depends on your taste, but also on the fruit you're using. If you're using raspberries, it's a sharp fruit, so you really need 80 grams, I think I would say was the minimum you would use. But mango, you definitely can lower it. So we're going to, sometimes you can do it without any sugar. So you could just use 50 grams. That's what we're going to do today, because I still want to show you how to make icing sugar. I usually buy unrefined sugar. So here, whoops. If you buy unrefined sugar, you can make your own icing sugar with unrefined sugar. That's really difficult to find in shops. So here we are. So this is just sugar, 50 grams, 51 grams. Insert the measuring cup and turn speed selector to speed 10. So it's 10 seconds, speed 10. Next. So then we add 500 grams of mixed fresh fruit, but frozen. So you can buy them fresh, you can buy them frozen. Just one important thing. Yes, I'm going to show you. This is quite amazing to see the icing sugar in 10 seconds. Here, if you buy them frozen, that's fine. Just make sure they are separated, or if you freeze them yourself, especially for mangoes, you don't want to put a whole block of frozen mangoes. As a very good indication, you just should be able to fit any pieces of fruit or vegetables, whatever you're chopping or putting in your Thermomix, just make sure they would fit through that hole. So here, we're going to tear it, because it has the way of the lid, And ooh, very precise actually, almost. That's perfect. Then next, 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. What I know is 2 teaspoons is about half a lemon. So I will just close this. I would squeeze the lemon on the lid. And what's great is the pips will drop and stay on the lid. And the juice is just running down inside. I'm just going to show you here. And I can also add the pulp. Actually, I'm showing you this. Oh yeah, there are two pips here. So then I use a little teaspoon and remove 1 pip here. And the other one's in here. That's fine, oopsie. Then next, I will not add the egg white now. I want to show you without the egg white first and then add the egg white to show you the difference. So it says here, insert spatula through the hole of the mixing bowl. The spatula is cut in a way it will never touch the blades. Okay, so you remove the measuring cup here. It's still a bit more lemon juice and pulp. You put the spatula in here. At the beginning, just make sure you block the hole. Okay, so it's going to be quite noisy as everything's frozen. And 1.5 minutes, turn speed selector to speed 5, and 5's here. Carolina was asking, serve immediately, it's amazing how quickly it is. Carolina was asking about making sorbet with bananas. It's so easy. Once you have your bananas going black, no one wants to eat them in the family. Just peel them, put them in, cut them in pieces, well, with your foot, just break them into pieces in a plastic bag in the freezer. Once you have about 500 grams, make a sorbet. It's just, you don't need any sugar at all. Lemon juice, bananas, and that's it. So here is our amazing mango sorbet. Now it just reminds me, sometimes I just do, with the sugar you can add some lime zest and grind the sugar, some lime zest, and then use the lime juice for the mango sorbet, and that's really another way to do it. Actually, before, I'm going to show you, as I mentioned, adding the egg white. So it's fine as it is. Some people prefer just pure mango sorbet. I can show you adding the egg white, which will make it more creamy. So in here, I'll show you in the center, you have the top of the blade. This is the butterfly whisk. It says on here, max 4. Never use it at speed higher than 4 because it will start jumping and eventually being chopped. Because it's just resting between the blades. So we have 4 blades, it's just resting between the blades. So it goes in here. We'll add the egg white. There's a little shell here. Egg white. We are going to close this, and manually we are just going to add 30 seconds. Speed 4. And you will notice it's completely, like, almost doubled in volume. It's added proteins, which is really good. Makes it more creamy, a bit like an ice cream rather than the sorbet.
So what if you put it back in the freezer and you want to make it fluffy and nice again? You simply put it back in the bowl and whisk it
once you've frozen it, it will go, if you put it back in the freezer, it will go hard. You can either take it out 5 minutes before having it, or use put it back in the Thermomix on the blades for a few seconds on speed 5 or 6, and then you can use the butterfly whisk again as well, so you can almost resuscitate your sorbet. So this is what it looks like, adding the egg white. So I'm going to show you here. I'm going to remove as much as I can. I'm going to show you a good little trick here. Remove as much as I can with the spatula. What's great is to just know exactly what you have in your sorbet. I checked the other day, the Waitrose Alfonso sorbet has 12 ingredients from Waitrose, 12 ingredients in the sorbet. Here we have lemon, mango and sugar and an egg white. So you could have just lemon and sugar, lemon and mango if you wanted. So here, I'm going to show you how we don't want any wastage. So I'll put it back in here and I will just go on speed for let's say 2 seconds, and then I switch it off for 3 seconds, and you'll see it's done most of the washing up for us here. So then I can remove the butterfly whisk, remove the blade, and clean it well around. I haven't wasted anything of this delicious sorbet. So here you are.
Fantastic. Excellent. What about the pre-clean function?
Pre-cleaning. We explained earlier on, but I'm going to show you. We're going to do it now. It's
How much
fine.
water could you?
Yeah, it's 1 litre of water. So I'll put the blade back on. Lock the blade in. We're going to use pre-clean just here. If you want some information about it, you can go on the eye.
Okay.
Maximum of 1 litre of water and a few drops of washing liquid. So here we have measures on the inside of the bowl. There's number 1 showing 1 litre. Drop of fairy liquid, washing up liquid. It's a bit less than 1 litre, but it's fine. And then you just start.
Okay. I'm confused because it says 5 minutes. Will it take 5 minutes?
It will take about 1 minute because this is quick to clean.
Oh, fantastic.
It's easy wash. It says approximately 5 minutes. I think it's really when you have something very dirty that like the blades are completely stuck. It will take time to heat up, whereas this one's very quick. It will take less than 1 minute altogether.
So Annita, what other things do you normally use cooking your Thermomix?
I love making bread on a regular basis. I really like, we make soups very often. I like making puddings. I like making my nut butter, my jam, my chutneys. I like making drinks, frozen margaritas.
Ooh.
Great making cocktails because you can crush ice also. I mean, I use it for a lot of different things. I would never used to make my own bread. I make it the whole time. I never buy bread anymore. You control exactly what's in your food.
Actually, I wanted to ask you about this function I heard about fermentation. Can you actually do yogurt in
Yes. So yogurt is, you would use 1 yogurt, a litre of whole milk, long life is better, and a bit of milk powder. It takes 12 hours in your Thermomix, so switch it in the evening, because otherwise you're stuck with your Thermomix. The Thermomix will be stuck with the yogurts for the whole day. So you'd heat the milk and everything, transfer it into little yogurt jars and steam it. Just put it in the steamer, and that's fermentation mode, which is about 70 degrees.
A lot of people go for takeaways. Can you make your own versions of takeaways, like pizzas or?
Pizzas are, pizzas, that's another really good thing to make. Pizza, just the pizza dough is so quick to make. It's sometimes quicker to make it at home in your Thermomix rather than go to the shops and buy it, or order it in a pizza place. And it's really, you know exactly what you've added to it, and make your own tomato sauce as well. That's great for sauces. Okay, so that's done. I now have to empty it out and rinse it, but it's washed. Okay.
So while we're talking about pizzas, what about risottos and pastas?
Yes, risottos are amazing. Instead of stirring over the hog for hours, you can make it in your Thermomix and enjoy and having drinks with your friends instead of stirring. It takes about 20 minutes from beginning to the end, but it's a really good dish to make in your Thermomix. Saves you a lot of time.
And pastas?
and pasta as well. You can make your own pasta if you have a little pasta machine and make the pasta dough, but also making a sauce for the pasta, making basil is great, tomato sauce. I mean, the range is really wide.
And you can actually cook the pasta in.
You can. It's not ideal because you're limited in quantities and it's not great, but if you haven't got a kitchen, it's really useful. The hob's not working, you can still make some pasta. You can still cook some pasta in here.
So if I were to buy the Thermomix today, what else? It comes with the accessories. What is the guarantee? And
so there's a 2-year warranty. You can buy it. So it comes with everything I showed. If you place the order today, you can have it delivered 2 working days later at your place. If it's by credit card, if it's a bank transfer, it's an extra day. And there's a 2-year warranty with your Thermomix when you buy your Thermomix. Yeah.
Will you come back to me?
And your advisor will be very happy to come back to your house and help you set it up if you need help setting up, but also come and do a recipe with you. But we also organize cooking classes. So we invite all our customers in here because that's our Chelsea Harbour studio, and we will do classes for our customers to give them more ideas and also that they can share with others what their favourite recipe is, which is really good, or really get little tips.
Excellent, thank you.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.